What's up, Ronnie Keypoint? Early bird. And anyway, as I was thinking of doing something like late night podcast type of thing, maybe I would need the help of DK and use his platform to achieve this. But anywho, if you are listening to this right now, chances are that you belong to one of the two groups. You either left MCGI or you stayed. And before anything else is said, let this be clear that this episode is not about attacking anyone, not the members, not even at first the institution. This is about understanding each other. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that we are not readily to admit. The people who left and the people who stayed are not fundamentally different. We are not enemies. We are not opposites. We are not faithful versus evil. At one point in time, we were the same people sitting in the same gatherings, singing the same songs, believing the same teachings, and trusting the same voices. And most importantly, we were not believing the truth. We were believing the version of the truth, a version that was filtered, framed, controlled, and protected from scrutiny. This podcast is an invitation to pause, breathe, and reflect, not to defend. No one joins a religious group like MCGI because they wanted to be deceived. People join because they are searching for meaning, hungry for righteousness, tired of shallow religion, afraid of being wrong about God. Let's be honest. Those who stayed were not stupid. Those who left were not rebellious. At one point, every single one of us believed that we have found something that we cared for, something pure, something set apart from the rest of Christianity. And that belief didn't came from arrogance. It came from hope. We trusted because trust was taught as a virtue. We obeyed because obedience was framed as holiness. We defended because loyalty was preached as love. And when you are told that questioning equals pride, that doubt equals rebellion, and that leaving equals damnation, your conscience learns to stay quiet, not because it is dead, but because it is afraid. Here's the part that most people misunderstood about control. Control rarely feels like oppression at first. It feels like certainty, clarity, confidence, and safety. You are told that you don't need to search anymore. We've already done the searching for you. And slowly, without realizing it, the freedom of thought is replaced with permission-based thinking. You don't ask anymore, is this true? Or you don't ask, is this allowed? Or you don't ask, what does the Bible say in context? You ask, how is this explained to us? And that's not stupidity, that's conditioning. So when people leave, it's not because they suddenly became evil. It's because something inside they refuse to stay silent. And when people stay, it's not because they love less. It's because fear, loyalty, identity, and years of emotional investments are powerful forces. Leaving cost us something. Staying also costs us something. Just different things. Now, here's where the tragedy happens. The moment someone leaves, the story changes. Suddenly, sincerity becomes deception. Question becomes pride. Pain becomes bitterness. Conscience becomes rebellion. And the ones who stayed are taught they were never really with us. But how can that be true? When they served sacrifice, cried, prayed, and believed, just like everyone else. And the ones who left are tempted to think, everyone who stayed is blind or dishonest. But that's not true either, because awakening happens at different speeds. Some people needs to distance themselves, some need time, some of us need permission, some need safety, and some are still where we were once were. And this is the most important part of this episode. At one point in time, we all believed not the truth itself, but the version of the truth that was given to us. A version wherein, with selected verses, controlled interpretations, unquestionable authorities, and emotional consequences for dissent, that doesn't make us liars. It makes us human. Freedom begins not when you change beliefs, but when you regain the right to ask, not, what should I believe? But rather, am I allowed to examine what I believe? That question alone is terrifying in controlled environments, and yet it is the foundation of genuine faith. If you stayed, this message is not an accusation. It's just a mere invitation. You don't have to leave to be honest, but you do deserve the freedom to read the Bible without fear, ask without punishment, and think without guilt. You are not weak for staying. You are not foolish for believing. You are just human. And if one day your conscience speaks louder, that doesn't mean you failed God. It may mean you finally heard Him. If you left, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't need to hate those who stayed to justify your leaving. They are not your enemies. They are often just earlier versions of you. And healing doesn't come from proving them wrong. It comes from reclaiming your freedom without losing your compassion. This is not a story of us versus them. It is a story of control versus conscience, fear versus freedom, inherited belief versus examined faith. We were never meant to be shackled by the truth. We are never different. We are human, just like them. So, what I'm trying to say is, we are simply standing at the different points of views in life, along with the same type of journey that we're in. And maybe, just maybe, the real truth was never afraid of being questioned. Thank you for listening. Shout out to everyone. Sino ba to? I might be able to shout you out if you type a comment. Joey Gregorio, Ronnie Keypoint, JR Badong, Jessa May Catherine, sino ba? Alright, I can't read all of your messages. Birdie Passion. Anyway, I was just having this conversation yesterday. Is it okay if I switch to Tagalog? Now, the reason why I was trying to get into speaking English is because I just learned that there are a lot of interested people who left and also who stayed, and also some people who are still not a member but are very interested in knowing what's going on inside MCGI, and they just wanted to let me know that they wish that there's something that is readily available for them in English. So I was also contemplating on doing an English podcast. Of course, I'm gonna have to ask DK and the rest of the Pause and Ponder family if this is something that we could do to just, sort of like a very late night type of reflection to keep in company those who are just lying awake at the at the stillness of the night. Just like a soothing and different type of approach, wherein people, because I know that when we are in our own private room, alone, quiet, that is when our thoughts are the loudest, because we know that during those times, apart from the noise, that is the time where we gather our thoughts, and most of the time I would say think unbiased. It is a quiet time wherein we're just sharing our thoughts with God, and we know that we are not being judged, because the only people in the room is you, yourself, and God. Those are the times wherein we are at most vulnerable and the truest, I should say. There's no pretension, because it is just God and you. And you know that when we are in the presence of God, there is no condemnation, no judgment, right? And so we are able to allow ourselves to be ourselves without shame, guilt, and fear. We are able to discuss things with God and questions we cannot ask anyone. So I was wondering if this is something that we can be doing in the future. Let me know if this is something that would interest you. I would appreciate your comments or suggestions. If this is something that people would like, and this is something that we can look forward to in the future, I'm gonna have to ask the help of the Pause and Ponder family. So anyway, I was just medyo switch ng konti na tayo na. I'm gonna have to speak comfortably now because I don't speak a lot of English, obviously. Kahapon kasi meron akong kausap na dalawang manggagawa. They're not just workers inside MCGI. They're, I would say, honest, hardworking, and dedicated and devoted to the sense of the obligation of a servant or a worker. And they're still inside for many reasons, and I don't judge them. If you'll be listening right now or later when this live ended, you know who you are. Meron lang silang sinabi sa akin about tol, pinag-uusapan namin, sabi niya gano'n, gusto lang naman naming magreliyon. Sabi niya gano'n. Ano ang napala natin? Akala natin kung nakita natin itong daan na to, ito na yung daan patungo sa Diyos. Sabi ko naman sa kanila, lahat tayo was made to believe that way. Lahat tayo naniwala, akala natin yan talaga ang daan patungo sa Diyos. Kaya nga gumugol tayo ng lahat ng resources in even our life, kasi naniniwala tayo na yung sinabi ni Pablo, ako'y gugugol at magugugol. Hindi lang dapat yung meron tayo, kundi pati buhay natin, gugulin natin. And we are made to believe that narrative for the longest time, be it 5, 10 years, 15, 20, 28 in my case. It could be 30 years for you, 35, 40, and so on. Albeit the same, we were all in the same boat. We were all in the same thinking that we are in this group. We have, should I say, parang talagang the spirit na parang sigurado tayo na talagang ito ang tunay na iglesia, ito ang totoong bayan ng Diyos. Tayo ang piniling mga tao ng Diyos. Kaya, although ako sa sarili ko, wala akong conviction na parang pag namatay ako ngayon, maliligtas kaya ako. What's up, Ben? Ben Adonza, one of the strongest MCGI supporter in SF Bay. What's up to you? I doxed you, bro. Yeah. So anyway, going back, naniwala tayo dun eh. In our youth, naniwala tayo sa isang ideology ng isang tao na we were made to believe na ito talagang tama, ito talagang sa Diyos. It's very hard going back to memory lane without feeling the hurt. Kaya nga yung kausap kong manggagawa, mangiyak-iyak siya eh. And even yung sa mga closet na nakakausap ko, if I could just tell you who they are, the people that belong in inner circle, the people that are closest to the leadership, but they are afraid. Hindi pa sila ready, wala pa silang sapat ng lakas ng loob. Natatakot pa sila, nasasaktan pa sila. It's very hard going back to memory lane kasi bumabalik lahat yung sakit, bumabalik lahat yung inanakit, yung sama ng loob, thinking na bakit nangyari sa atin to. Sometimes merong iba sa atin siguro, they even question God. Bakit hinayaan ng Diyos mangyari sa atin ito? Bakit napakarami nating nadaya? Marami sa atin ang napaniwala. Naniwala tayo sa isang naratibo na kailangan lumaban ng ubusan, gugulin ang lahat para sa gawain. And at the end of it, you look at yourself and you realize, naubos ka eh. Naubos tayo. Binigay natin lahat. Not just everything, but our very lives at that. Yung isang kausap ko, hindi na siya nakapag-aral. Nakalimutan niya ng sarili niya. In fact, pati yung magulang niya. Sometimes yung iba, yung mga anak, asawa, kaibigan, umikot ang mundo natin sa loob ng samahan na yun. Nawalan tayo ng pag-aari, ng kinabukasan, ng pag-iisip, ng karapatang mag-isip para sa ating sarili na walang pangamba na yung ating iniisip ay pakakahuluganan na rebellion. Yun ang nangyari sa atin eh. Gusto lang naman natin magreligiyon. Gusto lang naman nating maging dapat sa Diyos. Gusto lang naman nating mapalapit sa Kanya. Gusto natin magkaroon ng buhay na walang hanggan. We just wanted salvation. And we never asked for anything more. Dahil alam natin na sino mang nagnanais umibig sa sanglibutan ito, hindi magiging dapat sa Diyos sapagkat ang pakikipag-ibigan sa sanglibutan ay pakikipag-away sa Diyos. Kaya tinanggihan natin lahat ng bagay sa buhay na ito. Kinalikuran natin ang potential na maging matagumpay tayo someday, yung pagnanasa natin maging isang doktor, engineer, businessman, isang professional career ahead of us. Kinalimutan natin yon. Why? Because pinaniwala tayo na in 5, 8, 10, 15, 20 years the most,
babalik na ang Panginoon at lahat ng pinagpapagalan natin ay para saan pa. Wala nang dahilan para magtipot pa tayo ng kayamanan dito sa lupa. Mag-impok ng kayamanan, ng pera, ng investment, ng pag-aari. That was then, back in the 80s. Still back in the 90s. And even early 2000. Pero, nung umalis sa bansa yung kinikilala nating leader, everything changed. You know, when money started flowing in from different parts of the globe, nagbago lahat yun. Ayan, nandito si Edron. The other day, he called me. He was crying. I can feel the hurt that he's going through. Iiyak siya. Sabi niya, hindi ko matanggap yung something that I just learned. Kasi nagkausap sila ni Badong. You know, personal revelations took place. Meron siyang mga nabalitaan na even I, sinasabi ko kay Badong, stuff like that, hindi mo na kailangan sabihin because it's just hurtful and damaging. Yung isang ang kausap kong manggagawa, meron siyang nasaksihan, and I'm not gonna name names and I'm not gonna name specifics or even the detail. Isa lang ang tanong ko sa kanya eh. Sabi ko, that time, kung inihayag mo yung nakita mo, who would believe you? Nobody. Dahil isa ka lang simpleng manggagawa. You mean nothing inside the group. No one would have believed what you have witnessed. Sabi niya, wala akong sinasabihan yan, Tol. Ikaw lang ang sinabihan ko. At saka yung kasama naming isang manggagawang kausap niya. Sabi ko, it's better you just kept that reality, yung nasaksihan mo. Kasi wala namang maniniwala sa'yo. Same with the couple na, you know, natira doon sa Brazil na matagal nilang nakasama, na apparently umuwi at nagkaroon sila ng pag-uusap na mag-asawa. At sinabi ng asawa na, why didn't you tell me? Bakit hindi mo sinabi na mayroon palang ganyang nangyayari? And all the husband was to say to the wife was, kung sinabi ko sa'yo, paniniwalaan mo ko. Di ba hindi naman? Mas maniniwala ka dun sa taong yun. And that's the dilemma, you know. Sometimes it's not all about what you witnessed, what was truth, what really took place. We live in the world wherein people need proof. People need receipts. People ask for evidences. And those, how do you prove those kind of stuff that took place in the past? Wherein you don't have anyone but you. You are the sole witness to the event that took place. Does that mean hindi na totoo yung nasaksihan mo? Nagsinungaling ba sa'yo ang mata mo nung nakita mo ang hubad na katotohanan sa mga pangyayaring nakita mo? Along with all the countless witnesses na nakasaksi ng mga tunay na pangyayari. The true narrative behind the narrative that is being fed to the entire congregation. It is hard to prove those things. Because first of all, you know, people would look at your personality, your character. Like, who are you versus the ones that you are convicting? And if they are very quick to destroy your character, no one would have believed you in the first place. If they could destroy your character first, thus eliminating the sense of truthness in your claim, wala nang maniniwala sa'yo. And it's very hard. And it's a very tragic predicament that we were in. Something that people from the inside do not realize. When we left, lumabas kami, dala ang pag-asa sa aming puso na sa labas, Diyos ang humahatol. Inilagay namin ang aming buhay at kapalaran sa kamay ng Diyos na nakakakita at umuunawa. Hindi kami nag-isip na yung mga maiiwan namin dyan, kayo ang kawawa dahil kayo ang maiimpyerno. Nagagalit sa inyo ang Diyos. Nakatalaga kayo sa kapahamakan. Mapapahama kayo. Wala kaming ganong isipin. Whether you believe us or not, wala kaming ganong isipin. Umalis lang kami, dala ang aming pag-asa na inilagak namin sa Diyos. Pero ang narinig namin sa inyo, salita ng galit. You basically threw away 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 or more years of us being together. You know, communing in love that we believe na mula sa Diyos. Magkakasalo tayong gumagawa. Nagtitiis. Nagpaparaya. Sama-sama rin tayong umiiyak. Sama-sama tayong nagdadalamhati. Tayo ang mga magkakasama sa loob ng lokal. Tayo ang bumubuhat ng mabibigat na mga bagay na iniuutos sa atin mula sa itaas. Habang nakikita natin ang mga nasa itaas, nidulo man ang kanilang mga daliri, hindi nila binubuhat, kagaya ng sinabi ng Panginoon sa mga Eskriba at Pariseo. Time and again, alam niyo yan, hindi na natin kailangang patunayan na sa mga gawaing inilulunsad nila, supposedly pinangungunahan nila, hindi mo sila makikita during preparation and after the event itself. You could say na they are in the parts wherein it is glory unto them. Kamukha ng nasaksihan namin mag-asawa nung kami pumunta sa Memorandum of Understanding sa Honduras, wherein the leadership along with all the other ministers were there. Nakita mo talaga na during preparation and even at the time na actively engaged na yung gawain about Midi-Cuida and after, wala naman sila doon. They are in the glory parts wherein they are being interviewed with different radio and TV stations and sharing moments with the politicians. But yung mga mabibigat na buhatin, wala sila doon. And that is what I'm trying to say, you know. Tayo-tayo ang magkakasama. Bakit yung 30 taon, madaling-madali ninyong maitapon? Madali ninyo kaming itakwil. And the hardest part for me to think is even those yung mga pamilya, yung isang kausap ko na umexit, sabi sa kanya ng asawa niya. And it's very hard for me to hear. Sabi sa kanya, kung ayaw nyo sa iglesia, hindi ko na kayo kailangan sa buhay ko. Umalis na kayo, lumayas na kayo. Something na hindi ko matatanggap. Kasi meron tayong isa, si Judge Cairo, ano. Pinatotohanan niya yun, sabi niya, narinig niya yan sa lokal nila. Na isang minister nagsalita na kahit daw kamag-anak niya kung aalis sa iglesia, kahit pamilya niya pa yan, kung ayaw niyo sa Diyos ko, ayaw ko na rin sa inyo. That made you realize, is that what God is all about? They might use verses in the Bible wherein it says, ang umibig sa ama, ina, asawa, anak, kapatid na higit sa akin ay hindi magiging karapat-dapat sa akin. Is that what we really think the gospel is all about? Enmity between families? Or is that something deeper na hindi lang naabot o naunawaan ng lubos ng mga leadership dyan sa loob? It's not about physical enmity. It's all about devotion, acknowledgement, and acceptance na hindi dapat mangibabaw yung pag-ibig o yung pagmamahal mo over sa pag-ibig sa Diyos. And in the process, kapuotan mo naman yung mga ayaw sa kinikilala mong Diyos. It's never about that. Remember, nung nagkatawang tao ang ating Panginoon, the people that He was immersed with, commune with, are the very marginalized people in society. Yung mga taong nilalayuan, pinandidirihan, the people who other peoples don't want anything to do with. Yung mga ayaw makasalimuha, yung mga markado sa lipunan. Yun ang mga taong nilapitan ng ating Panginoon. At hindi siya natakot makitang kasama niya, nakikisalong kasama niya. Kaya nga, because of that, napagwikaan pa ang Panginoon. Narito ang isang taong mayamo at manginginom ng alak, nakikisama at nakikiinom sa mga makasalanan at sa mga maniningil ng buwis. Hindi nila naunawaan na that's the very reason kaya nagkatawang tao, namatay at nabuhay na maguli ang ating Panginoon, is to reach out those soul na marginalized in society, the very outcast. God is not about putting feud between people or having enemies within society. Hindi yun ang layunin niya. Ang layunin niya is for us, the greatest commandment na itinuro niya, iibigin mo ang Diyos ng buong puso mo, buong kaluluwa mo, buong pag-iisip mo. That's the greatest commandment na itinuro mula sa panahon ng lumang tipan hanggang panahon ng ating Panginoon. Meaning, huwag mong hayaan na yung pag-ibig mo, dahil lang sa pag-ibig mo sa iyong mahal sa buhay, ay makalimutan mo ang paglilingkod o pagkilala sa Diyos. Pero pwede ka rin naman na maglingkod sa Diyos, kumilala sa Diyos, na hindi mo itinatakwil ang mga taong hindi tumatanggap sa Diyos. So much so, yung sinabi ng ating Panginoon. Alam naman natin ang kasaysayan, di ba? Na yung mga kapatid ni Kristo sa ina, hindi sa ama, dahil hindi naman si Jose ang kanyang ama. Yung mga kapatid niya sa laman, meron siyang nakasama dun eh. Naging propeta pa nga, di ba? Pero hindi lahat ng mga kapatid niya sa ina ay nakasama niya. Pero wala kang makikita na itinakwil niya yun. O itinaboy niya, kinundina niya sa apoy. Wala. Even at the time na sinabi sa kanyang, umahon ka sa Jerusalem sapagkat naroon ang iyong mga alagad. Hindi nga nila sinabi ito dahil sa pinagmamalasakit niya siya, kundi alam niyang maraming kaaway doon ng Panginoon. Kita mo yung isipan ng mga kapatid ni Kristo sa ina, no? Gusto nilang mapahamak ang Panginoon, pero hindi nagalit, hindi itinakwil ng Panginoon yung kanyang mga kapatid. Yan ba ang pag-ibig na itinuro ng ating Panginoon? Na dahil lang hindi na kami kumikilala sa Diyos na itinuturo ninyo, hindi sa Diyos na ipinakilala ng Biblia at ipinakilala ng ating Panginoon. Magkaiba kasi yun. Let us not confuse the God that you preach versus the God that's really preached by Jesus Christ in the Bible. Kaya nga, early on in the civilization, yung time of the occupation ng Spain sa Pilipinas, few people that are learned, like Jose Rizal, we considered him as our national hero. When he read the Bible thoroughly, from cover to cover, nakita niya, nasabi niya, yung ipinangangaral ng mga, anong tawag doon? Yung mga praile, yung ipinangangaral na Diyos ng mga praile, iba sa Diyos na ipinakikilala sa Biblia. Kasi yung mga pinakikilalang Diyos ng mga praile, isang vengeful God at isang Diyos na nangangailangan ng mga kalmen, ng mga alay, Nakita niya, even Apostle Paul in his discourse with Athenians, no, sinabi niya, ang Diyos na gumawa ng langit at lupa, yamang sa Kanya nagmumula lahat ng bagay, hindi nangangailangan ng anuman, nawaring kailangan niya ang anumang bagay sa atin, sapagkat nalalaman at lahat ng bagay nagmumula sa Kanya. Meron ba tayong magagawa na pwede nating ihalin tulad sa kalwalhatian ng Diyos? Wala. Samantalang nanghihingi ng mga offering yung mga praile, no, kahit mahirap na yung mga Pilipino, they keep asking for more. Na sana nakikita nyo yung comparison, ano, kung paanong religion is being used as a tool for people to become rich and amass wealth, na hindi naman dapat taglayin ng isang nangangaral talaga ng salita ng Diyos. Kaya nagkaroon ng inevitable conclusion si Jose Rizal sa pagbasa niya ng Biblia in its entirety. Nasabi niya, kung ganyan ang itinuturong Diyos ng mga praile, tumatalikod ako sa ganyang Diyos. And we echo the same sentiment that Dr. Jose Rizal said nung nabubuhay pa siya. Hindi kami tumatalikod sa Diyos na ipinakikilala ng Panginoon, ipinakikilala ng Biblia. Tumatalikod kami sa Diyos na ipinakikilala diyan sa loob ng samahang pinanggalingan natin. Isang mabagsik, mapanghimagsik, walang unawa at walang malasakit na Diyos. Yun ang ating tinatalikuran. Kaya nga, hindi natin pwedeng i-refute na yung sinabi ni ayan, medyo nawala ako. Pardon. It's just so hard, no? Yung nangyayari ngayon. Nagkakaroon kasi ng us versus them way of thinking. We, sa side ng mga umalis, nakikita natin that the people inside are blinded. Sa loob, ganun din naman ang tingin nila sa atin. We're the ones who's blinded. Binulag na tayo ng Diyos ng sanlibutan ito. Yun nga yung opening salvo ko kanina. We're not different from each other. We're just the same. It's just that naging tao kasi tayo eh. You know, hindi naman tayo dating magkakilala. I don't know Ronnie Kipoy del Rosario. I don't know Lord Kaisen or Badong or Jessa May Catherine or lahat ng nakikinig dito. We don't know each other. You know, our paths has crossed because of this organization. You know, we are being, computer language wise, we are being programmed the same program. That's why we were functioning the way the program is supposed to achieve. When we were indoctrinated, we were programmed, formatted in a way na sang-ayon sa kaisipan ng isang taong nagturo sa atin. And hindi natin namamalayan, we were slowly drifting away sa kalooban ng Diyos. Because it reveals, hindi naman hinayaan ng Diyos na dumating ang panahon na manatili yung ganoong pag-iisip. Inihayag ng Diyos kung sino talaga ang those people that are for Him and are with Him. Inihayag na sa pamamagitan ng pamumuhay. Nakita natin kung sino talaga yung representative, and that is no other than our Lord Jesus Christ. Someday, I hope to discuss that kasi tinanong nila yun sa akin Kapag tinanong ka, sabi sa akin nung kausap ko manggagawa, ano ang religion? Sabi ko, well, depends. Sabi ko gano'n. Sino ang magtatanong? baka sa trabaho ba or kaibigan ba, ang sasabihin ko lang sa kanila is I'm a Christian. Pero kung, like, if you're asking me now, tatanong mo sa akin, anong religion? Sasabihin ko, wala namang itinuro. And I have to be careful at this kasi there are a lot of people out there na they like to take what I say out of context. Ang itinuro ng Panginoon, hindi samahan, kung hindi yung gawa. Kamukha nung sinasabi sa Santiago na ang dalisay at walang dungis na relihiyon sa ating Ama ay ito, dalawin ang mga ulila at mga babaeng bao sa kanilang hindi naman sinasabing wala namang official na pangalan o official na grupo. Ang sinasabi doon is the very act, the pure and undefiled religion, yung gumagawa nito. And it echoes the original message of the Messiah. Nung lumapit sa kanya yung mga alagad, sinabi sa kanya, Panginoon, meron kaming nakitang isang nagpapalayas ng masamang espiritu. Sinaway namin siya sapagkat hindi natin siya kasama. The very argument ng mga nagsumbong kay Kristo, if He's doing the act, He's doing the powerful works na ipinangangaral mo, Panginoon, dapat kasama namin siya. And because of that, dahil hindi natin siya kasama, sinaway namin siya. Ang sagot ng Panginoon, pabayaan niyo siya, sapagkat ang sino mang hindi laban sa atin ay sumasa atin. Wala ngang taong makagagawa ng makapangyarihang gawa at pagdakay makapagsasalita ng anumang laban sa atin. It's not about pala yung pagiging magkakasama. Why? Kasi ang itinayo ni Kristo, hindi naman organized group or isang grupong magkakasama. You can be Jesus Christ's church na itinayo niya kahit wala kang kasama. Because ang kasama mo, first and foremost, hindi naman, and listen very carefully, ang kasama mo, kapag tinawag ka ng Diyos, nakasulat yan sa unang Korinto 1:9, sapagkat ang Diyos ay tapat, na tinawag niya tayo upang ipakisama sa kanyang anak. From the very moment, and that is what church is all about, from the Greek word ekklesia, called out, the ones that are called out. The moment na tinawag tayo ng Diyos, ipakikisama tayo sa kanyang anak, hindi sa anumang grupo, hindi sa anumang relihiyon. We are made to be with His Son, Jesus Christ. We're going to have a fellowship with His Son. Now, paano natin ma-achieve once tinawag tayo, makakasama natin si Kristo? It's not through organized religion, kamukha ng ipinapakita. And this requires deep spiritual discernment, bagay na itatanggi ng mga conventionalist, ng mga traditionalist, ng mga iba't ibang mayroong stronghold, mayroong ulterior motive or interest about their own church. Hindi nila tatanggapin ito. They will deny this idea. But I want you to understand, maramdaman natin yung spirito na gustong ipahayag ng Diyos sa mga kausap niyang alagad. Pabayaan niyo siya, sapagkat sino mang hindi laban sa atin ay sumasa atin. Sino ba yung hindi laban sa atin? Yung sinabi niya rin sa kanyang pangalawang pangungusap, wala ngang makakagawa ng anumang makapangyarihang gawa, pagdaka makapagsasalita ng anumang laban sa atin. Kung talagang gawa ng Diyos ang ginagawa ng taong yan, hindi yan magsasalita ng anumang laban kay Kristo. Hence our claim. Wala tayong sinasabi para sa mga kapatid na naiwan namin sa loob. Wala kaming sinasabing anuman na laban kay Kristo, laban sa Ama, at laban sa aral ng Diyos. Lahat yan sinasampalatayanan namin. Ang hindi namin sinasampalatayanan, yung version ng katotohanan na itinuturo, magkaiba yun. Because yung totoong katotohanan, that is undisputable, hindi mo pwedeng pamalian yun. And we have nothing against the truth. Nung naparito ang Panginoon, sabi niya, naparito ako upang patotohanan, to bear witness with the truth. Yan ang account ni Kristo sa hukuman ni Pilato. Diyan na nagkakamali yung maraming mga tao. Now, going back to what I'm saying is, tinawag tayo ng Diyos para ipakisama kay Kristo. It is never about an organized religion. It's all about our fellowship, yung pagiging malapit o pagiging kasama natin, even though sa time ng mga disciples, they're talking about proximity. Sinaway namin siya dahil hindi natin siya kasama. Lalabas baga, kung gumagawa ka niya, dapat kasama ka. Did you now see where I'm going? Kung saan ako papunta? Yung kaisipan ng tao, kagaya ng mga nagsumbong kay Kristo, dapat nandito ka kasama natin, and there's no other place or occurrence in the world than to point out yung claim ng mga alagad. Kasama namin ang Panginoon. He's in flesh. Kasama namin siya. Lalabas baga, ayaw nyo kaming samahan, ayaw nyo kay Kristo. Wala nang ibang perfect opportunity and time and place in human society na pinakamatibay mong magagamit para dun sa isang nagpapalayas ng masamang espiritu kung hindi sumama ka sa amin dahil kasama namin ang Panginoon. Did you get what I'm saying? Sana nakukuha niyo po yung punto ko. Yun ang pinaka-best time and place to claim that. If you want to be with God, if you want to be with His Son, sumama ka sa amin dahil kasama namin ng Panginoon. Pero sinang-ayunan ba sila ni Kristo? Hindi. Ang sabi ni Kristo sa kanila, pabayaan niyo siya. Let Him be. For those that are not against us are with us. They are with us. Ang ibig sabihin ni Kristo, even though hindi natin siya kasama. Diyan na ngayon papasok ang very powerful theology, spiritual discernment na itinuturo ni Kristo sa kanyang mga apostol even when He was with them in the flesh. Na huwag niyong isipin na ang pagiging malapit sa Diyos ay pag-oorganisa ng isang relihiyon. Maaring tayong lahat, magkakasama nga tayo, pero kapag ang puso natin ay humihiwalay sa Panginoon, walang kabuluhan ang ating pagsasama-sama. And that echoes in the teachings of Jeremiah nung sinabi niyang sumpain ng tao na tumitiwala sa tao at ang puso ay humihiwalay sa Panginoon. Kahit napakarami niyo pa, kahit ano pa ang inyong kiniklaim, pero ang puso niyo hiwalay sa Panginoon, magiging kasumpa-sumpa lang tayo, kagaya ng sinasabi ni Pablo sa Galatia 1:8. Ang sabi niya, tatapwat kahimat kami o isang anghel na mula sa langit ang mangaral sa inyo ng iba sa aming ipinangaral ay matakwil. Hindi ito masumpungan ngayon ng ating mga kasama. Dati kasi ginagamit ni Pes yan as a form of attack sa ibang mga religion. It's not about attacking specific kind of religion. It's all about discernment. When you have this kind of understanding, it is applicable to everyone, not just any specific group. Ang nangyari kasi dyan dati, ibinala ni Bes iyang talatang yan sa lahat, but he failed to apply it to his own. Yun ang nangyayari. Kaya nga yung sinasabi sa Juan, nasubukin ninyo ang lahat ng mga espiritu. Another doctrinal error na hindi ako makapaniwala nung ipinaliwanag ngayon niya ng leadership ngayon. Sabi niya hindi raw kasama si Juan dyan. Subukin ninyo kung sila'y, sabi, isang bagay na I am deeply disappointed. Kapag nangangaral ngayon yung leadership sa loob, I feel as if though I am attending a grammar lesson. Kayo rin ba, napupunan niyo yun? Parang ang theology, yung pag-aaral ng salita ng Diyos, is becoming a grammar lesson. Tignan mo ang wika yan, sabi, kung sila'y sa Diyos, Subukin ninyo ang bawat espiritu kung sila'y sa Diyos. Hindi siya kasama dyan. Sabi ko, ganun talaga ang paghihimay-himay ng talata. Ganun mo makikita ang, just because of that particular verse, without considering the context of why and where or when it was said, the surrounding circumstances nung ipinaliwanag yan. Kasi, for all we know, sinulat yan ng isang buo at dire-diretsong diwa. Hindi lang isang talata. And as other call it, cherry picking. But going back to what I'm saying, yun ang samahan, yun ang iglesia na itinayo ng ating Panginoon. It's all about fellowship with our Lord Jesus Christ. Yung pakikisama sa Kanya through deeds. Kasi yung gawa mo ang magpapakita sa'yo. Kamukha ng sinasabi sa Santiago, ikaw ba'y lumilingap sa mga ulila at mga babaeng bao? Kung gumagawa ka ng ganyang gawa, sumasaatin ka. Yun ang sinasabi ng Panginoon. Ang sino mang hindi laban sa atin, sumasaatin. So let your works prove kung ikaw talaga sa Diyos o hindi. Now, here comes the tricky part. This is where kailangang mag-ingat tayo. Kasi, having known that knowledge, gagamitin ngayon yan para itanyag ang kanilang mga sariling interest. In what sense? Let me tell you. Sasabihin nila, kaya nga kami gumagawa kami ng good works. Gumagawa kami ng charity. Gumagawa kami ng ganito. Gumagawa kami ng ganyan. The question is, just because you're doing what the Bible is saying you're supposed to do, does that automatically make you kasama ng ating Panginoon? Remember, ang mga Eskriba at Pariseo, they are masters of deception. They are masters of performative religion. And why is it that nung nangaral ang ating Panginoon, sila ang unang inatake ng Panginoon patungkol mismo sa mga very act or mga very gawa na ginagawa nila that does not conform to the standard of our Lord Jesus Christ? This is where we should be, and very specific and be very careful. If that is the case, if optics, if visual, and being plainly seen by others that you are doing the will of God, bakit bumagsak sa standard ni Kristo ang mga performative holiness ng mga Eskriba at Pariseo? Samantalang sila ang kinikilalang mga authority pagdating sa kaligtasan at sa kautusan. Sila ang nilalapitan ng tao. Sila ang magsasabi, yung mga Levites priest ang magsasabi kung ang isang tao ay malinis na mula sa ketong o hindi. Everything should and would go through their office, so to speak. Dadaan sa kanilang mga kamay ang pronouncement kung ang isang bagay ay nakalulugod sa Diyos, kung ang isang bagay ay katanggap-tanggap sa Diyos. They are being heralded as the exemplar of faith and nearness to God nung panahon nila. And that image, that illusion, that oasis of truth, holiness, binasag ni Kristo yun nung nangaral siya. Jesus Christ revealed the hearts of these people claiming holiness before God and the people. Binasag niya yun. Pinakita niya ang tunay na kalagayan ng mga Eskriba at Pariseo. Hinubaran niya ang mapagkunwaring kabanalang taglay ng mga Eskriba at Pariseo. Now, going back to what I'm saying, is it because gumagawa ka ng kabanalan na nakikita ng mga tao ay magiging dapat ka na sa Diyos? We should consider one of the greatest preaching ng ating Panginoon nang sinabi niya, mag-ingat kayo, 6:1 patuloy ng Mateo. Mag-ingat kayo, magsigawa kayo ng katwiran sa harap ng mga tao upang kanilang makita. Sapagkat katotohanan sinasabi ko sa inyo, tinanggap na ninyo ang inyong ganti. Wala na kayong ganti sa inyong Ama na nasa langit. Yes, charity is necessary. Yes, good work is necessary. Pero yung para ipakita mo yung gawang mabuti at yung paglilimos na yung ginagawa, this is something very un-Christian. Not everything that looks Christ-like is Christ-like. Hindi lahat ng may anyong pagka-Diyos ay Diyos. Just like yung sinasabi sa Biblia na having the form of godliness but denying the power thereof. May anyo ng kabanalan, tatapwat tinanggihan ng kapangyarihan ito. Lumayo ka rin naman sa mga ito. And because we discern na may anyo lang ng kabanalan ang nangyayari dyan sa loob, we have the guidelines na binibigay ng Biblia. Itakwil, layuan, sumpain. And because we follow these guidelines from God, naging makasalanan kami. Naging anak kami ng impyerno. Naging nakatalaga na kami sa kapahamakan. And that is where we draw the conclusion. That is where we draw the line. We hate to disappoint and we hate to be the bearer of bad news. Life, salvation is not according to what you're going to tell us. Yan yung sinabi ko sa minister na nakausap ko. Nung sinabi niyang mapapahamak daw ako at ang aking pamilya. Sabi ko sa kanya, I beg to disagree. Kung maniniwala ako sa sinasabi mo at kung ang pananampalataya ko ay nakabase sa kung anong sasabihin mo, true, mapapahamak nga kami. Pero hindi sa'yo nakasalig ang aking pananampalataya. Yan. And at the end of the day, wala naman talagang makakapagsabi kung tayo'y sa Diyos o kung tayo'y mapapahamak. All we are hoping to accomplish in this life is if we are really echoing or mirroring yung buhay na dapat isabuhay natin sa mata ng Diyos. Because at the end of the day, and I kept telling you this, God is the only audience that matters in this world. Hindi natin kailangang ipakita ang kabanalan sa harap ng maraming tao para magtamo tayo ng kapurihan mula sa Diyos. No? It is never about optics or visibility. It's all about performing the very act itself. And that when it was performed, Diyos na ang bahalang mag-assess kung yung ating ginawa ba ay katanggap-tanggap sa Kanya. Kaya nga sabi ng Panginoon, sa iyong paglilimos, ilihim mo para yung ama mo na nakakakita sa iyo sa lihim, gantihin ka sa lihim. It's all about doing all these things na walang nakakamalay o hindi nalalaman ng mga tao. Bagay na pinagkamalian nila nang sinabi nila na lumiwanag na gayon ang inyong ilaw. Kung naintindihan lang sana nila yung konteksto kung bakit sinabi yun, paano ang wika liliwanag kung hindi mo ibo-broadcast sa pamamagitan ng TV, ng camera? Talagang yan ba ang kahulugan? Yan ba ang layunin ng Diyos? It's all about performative holiness, isn't it? If you were to just ask Jesus Christ, so you're trying to tell us, God, Jesus, that you want us to perform performative holiness? No. Sasabihin sa atin ng Panginoon, you are mistaken. Hindi yan ang kahulugan ng sinabi niya na magliwanag na gayon ang ating mga ilaw upang kanilang purihin ng Diyos sa panahon ng pagdalaw. It's never about visibility. What Christ is trying to tell us is for that light na siya yung ilaw na yon, tayo ang ilawan. As tayo bilang ilawan, nasa atin ang ilaw. Yung ilaw na yon na ang ating Panginoon ang magliliwanag, it's never about our good works. Yung ilaw, uulitin ko ito, tayo, ilawan tayo. No? Yung hawak ng ilawan, we are the vessel of light. Yung ilaw na taglay natin bilang ilawan or lamp, yun ang magliliwanag. Si Kristo yun. Hindi yung ating performative acts. Hindi yung ating mabubuting gawa. Yung ilaw na dala, I'm gonna say it again until it sinks in. Yung ilaw na taglay ng ilawan, yun ang magliliwanag. Did you get that? It's plain and simple. Wala namang hiwaga doon. Hindi lang natin alam kung bakit hindi nakikita. Anyway, ayoko naman pakahabaan, but I really appreciate the time that you've spent with me. I love it kasi you accompanied me
in my journey. Yung sinabi ko po kanina about the late night podcast, I hope it, with the help of God, ma-accomplish natin ito and in something na more soul-searching and contemplating, to something to mediate, hindi ganitong klase ng format. Parang soothing late night type of podcast, reflecting type. Kung kailan yan, sana ma-accomplish natin yan. But from the bottom of my heart, let me tell you this. I really truly appreciate the time you're spending with me mula sa Pilipinas. Hindi ko na kayo mabanggit lahat-lahat kasi hindi lumalabas yung name nyo dito eh. From the Philippines, Asia, Europe, Africa, everywhere. Saan man kayo naroon, nakahiga man kayo sa kama nyo, nagbabiyahe man kayo, nagtatrabaho kayo, nasa paglalakbay kayo. I really appreciate the community that God has given us. From the bottom of my heart, first of all, I thank God for each and every one of you. And I hope magpatuloy pa itong ating pagsasamahan, ating pagtitipon, kung saan nagkakatipon ng 2 o 3 sa aking pangalan, doon ako doroon sa gitna nila. Pagbati ng pag-ibig at kapayapaan sa inyong lahat, mga minamahal kong kapatid, saan man kayo sa mundo naroon. Paalam po, salamat!